Hello, buddy. Omni here. Literally late to the game on this one. I actually finished this not too long ago, about a month ago, and I just haven't gotten around to talking about it. I wanted to give you guys my thoughts and opinions on Resident Evil 2, the remake. I'm a huge fan of the Resident Evil series. I've played since the first one. I played Resident Evil 2 when it first came out back in the 90s, and this game is a pure nostalgia trip. This is Resident Evil at its core and at its best. The games throughout the series kind of lean towards more of an action adventure kind of survival game, more so than the original like horror survivor that they used to be. And this really takes it back to its core roots and does really well at unrestricting the RE engine and letting this thing really shine. I am super impressed with this engine now. I heard that a lot of the reasons it didn't look up to par on Resident Evil 7 was mostly because a lot of the resources had to be toned down so that it supported VR. Fortunately, with this, it does not have that support capability, so this gets to use all of its resources to the max, and it really shows. The gameplay is solid, the controls are solid. There's a lot of great things to talk about in this game specifically. It really shows, it's a love letter to the old school fans of this series, and it's really inviting to new people as well. There's only a few minor complaints that I can find going through the game itself, which I'll get into here in a little bit, but as far as it goes, this is a solid game. There's so many like unlockables that you can get throughout the game as well. Recently with DLC, there's a couple of side stories that you get to cover with not only your main characters, Leon and Claire, which you can, depending on who you start with, you kind of get a variation on the two-part section that this game incorporates. You can either do Claire or Leon first from the get-go, and then you kind of get a different experience going through the game each time. Your second playthrough on each run, because you have a first run, second run, is a lot more difficult and a lot more interesting. Each character has their own storylines, though the one major complaint I would like to share is they're supposed to be happening parallel to each other. And there's a lot of things that happen where you kind of retread the same areas as the other character, and their effects or your effects do not really carry over, and you both end up kind of going to the same areas and doing the same things. And it really breaks the immersion on the fact that both of these characters are supposed to be doing these separate storylines at the same time, parallel to each other. Yet they rarely run into each other, and your individual playthrough doesn't really affect the other run in any way whatsoever, really. That's a missed opportunity to me. I can't recall if the original game really did that too much as well. As far as the puzzle solving, really kind of holds your hand a little bit, unlike the previous games where you really had to remember things. This one, you have a log, and it pretty much keeps track of everything you've found and all the codes and stuff like that for lockers, combinations, image puzzles, stuff like that. It really kind of gives you most of the answers and doesn't really leave a lot for you to figure out yourself. But the challenge to the game comes in with surviving. If you're not a good shot, if you are not conservative with your ammo, it is really easy to get yourself in some situations where you are probably going to be scraping the barrel as far as ammo is concerned. I found myself at one point, it was down in the sewers about midway through the game. I had no ammo until I found a completely new weapon at the end of this area I had finally got to, and getting there used up all the ammo that I had. And then the only ammo I had was for the new gun I just got, and I was forced to try to make my way back with only that. Now, you could craft your own ammo, so if you plan and play strategically enough, you can definitely make it throughout the game with relative ease, because I replayed through that area again after having a little bit more experience about what's going on, and I had so much ammo left over. It's just that initial playthrough, I got myself in some tight spots. I did still manage to complete the game on that first run, but it was definitely tension filled, and that's what I can say makes this game stand out so much more than any of the other Resident Evil games in recent history. This game keeps you on your toes. Zombies, if you don't make sure that they are dead, they will come back. If you don't board up certain areas, more zombies will come into the police station. So you have to do your due diligence to make sure that if you have to backtrack, that you're not going to be fighting and wasting even more ammo just to get that 5-pack of handgun ammo you missed a little while ago. It is intense. And then once Mr. X gets involved, that is when things really get even more intense. No, sweet Jesus, because he follows you throughout the rest of the run. Once he shows up in the police station, until you get down into the sewers, you are pretty much stuck with this constant homing beacon on your brain. You can avoid him if you're quiet and if you're careful. However, you can hear his lumbering big feet stomping all around the police station trying to find you. And once that music kicks in, that signals that he's caught you in his eye, you gotta be running, which makes doing some puzzles pretty difficult at certain points. I found myself having to bait him to the other side of the police station because he kept interrupting a segment I was trying to get through. So I had to keep running from one end, having him follow me all the way over there, then luckily being able to ditch him on that side of the police station in order to get back to the other, also avoiding whatever zombies I did not completely execute, to get back and finish a puzzle. It adds so much tension to this game that there were some points where I had to just kind of sit and let my heart rate calm down just a little bit. And I didn't even play this on the max difficulty, and I probably will not do that myself. The second run is definitely harder. Like, much sooner out of the gate do you have to deal with Mr. X. Almost only 10 minutes into the run, and then you're already dealing with him. The game holds off on him for about an hour and a half, depending on how fast you're going on your first run. So you don't really have to worry about that. And another drawback that I would say, this is definitely a much shorter experience than the original game. But there's so much more action and tension and survival aspects to this. It makes up for a lot of it, especially when you consider that the second run playthroughs and the A and B combinations that you can do with either Claire or Leon can add some replayability to it and get you some different scenarios replaying the game. On top of that, there's all the different costumes that you can unlock. And my favorite one that they added recently was the 98 pixel model versions of the characters from the old game. So you can be in this very stylized, realistic, next generation version of the game, but running around with the exact model from the old game. And it is just so jarringly hilarious that it is so much fun to do that. Also, if you pre-ordered the game, I think you can also download it as a DLC on top of that. If you didn't pre-order or get the deluxe edition, you can get the original soundtrack, which adds even more atmosphere to the game, because personally I feel like that the original soundtrack was much more fear-inducing and stress-inducing than the new score for the game. But there's a lot of love going into this. They plan on releasing even more DLC down the road. Like I said, the only real drawback I have as far as the story and the gameplay goes, is that, I really wish that Claire and Leon's separate stories had more impact on each other, because they are supposed to be happening at the same time. The AI can get a little wonky at certain points. I ran into an issue with lickers, which was pretty entertaining, but also really annoying. If you get caught or they catch your scent or hear you, and you book it into a door, that door will be guarded by that licker for perpetuity. I don't know what to do. I mean, if I die, I die. Like, it's that, or I'm just stuck here forever. Ah! It's right there in front of the door. Jesus, leave me alone. It's clipping through the door. It will not go anywhere until you go out and distract it or something. I found myself in that situation quite a few times. At least with Mr. X, if you go into a door he can't get into, you can wait a little while and he'll just kind of wander off to another area of the police station. If you do this with a licker or a zombie, they will just, as soon as they lose track of you, they will just sit at that point until you come back. So that can be a little fun, though. I do love that. I don't feel like this was a mechanic in the original game because, you know, limitations of technology. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do love that because the licker is blind, it ran into some really tense situations when you just kind of stumble upon one. Ah! Oh, no, no, no. No, no, no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. 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 If you're careful and you catch yourself quick enough, you can just inch yourself through an area, and if you don't make any sound, you can usually avoid them pretty well. But if you enter a room just stomping those feet too quick and you don't realize there's a licker around, he's going to be coming right after you, and it's a lot of fun. And man, there's a lot of frustration that I went to this game, but that's the kind of thing that these games should be doing in a survival horror game, is not babying you through the game with an overabundance of action elements to kind of get yourself out of these situations, like in RE4, 5, and 6, where you had like reaction commands and all kinds of different things get you out of whatever situation you were in. Ammo was all over the place, and now it's not too far gone as far as the ammo economy in this game, but still it makes for some tense situations and really solid game. This is easily this game kicked off the beginning of the year so good, and Capcom has really been pulling out all the stops after RE7, really trying to refresh and reinvigorate this franchise that really had become a little stale to a lot of people, and definitely even the original fan base had been kind of let down by RE6 as the general consensus on that, and I personally could not even bring myself to finish that game. But this game is a beautiful re-entry into the franchise. It was a wonderful start to gaming for this year of 2019, and I can't wait to see what Capcom brings later down the road. I have already recently finished Devil May Cry 5, and will be giving my thoughts on that game as well. And they are knocking it out of the park with these recent releases, man. 2019 is going off to a great start so far. Let's just say, if I had to give this game a rating, this is easily a 9 out of 10 as far as a survival horror game in 2019 goes. If you like horror, if you like zombie games, if you like survival horror or any of that genre, this is the best game in a long time to really kind of fill those shoes. That's about all I can add for it. There's not a lot to complain about in this game. This is a really good, solid Resident Evil entry, and it makes me excited to see if they're going to remake my favorite game, Resident Evil 3. I can't wait to be running from Nemesis if they do go down that road and remake 3. God, that's going to be a fun game, man. Anyway, guys, that's all for now. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.